All right. It is time for the tour of my sketchbook from 2019. This is one of two, but this one is pretty thick. It's a pretty chunky book, so it kept me busy for a good 8 or 9 months or so. It's actually a handmade book created by an artist named Mary Snedden, who created this beautiful little volume with these cute little owls all over the cover. And yeah, the paper inside, it's got these beautiful like handmade end papers, which I covered with stickers. And the inside paper is very like it feels like watercolor paper almost, like a little bit thinner, but it has this really neat texture that was a lot of fun to draw on. Um, so yeah, I've got the obligatory stickers on one side, and then it opens with more Wychwood thumbnails because at this point I was still using my primary sketchbooks to plan the story, which I eventually stopped doing. But so more thumbnails. This piece is actually fan art for the Mortal Engines series by Philip Reeve because I read those books when I was younger and really enjoyed them, and then watched the movie and was kind of disappointed at how they handled Hester Shaw's scar, which is described in the novels as being very pretty gnarly and intense, and in the movie they like made it look very Hollywood pretty, like barely there. So I was like, I'm gonna draw a Hester with much more scar, and I did this. I watercolored for the colors in here, just kind of using a moment from the story. And I also watch Spider Verse here, and I this is a drawing of Sonic with ears. Uh, Context for that, with I was in a drawing game with some other artists at one point, and we were challenging each other to draw like iconic cartoon characters from memory with no reference. And I drew a Sonic with human ears. This isn't the original drawing from that, but I just was remembering it and telling some other friends about it, and I was like, hang on, I'll just draw what I drew. Um, so these are like skull studies. I think at this point, I was at the Alaska Comics Camp, which is held in Juneau in spring each year. And I went on that trip in 2019, and I really enjoyed it. I super recommend it. And a lot of the artists would put together these neat workshops to kind of go over techniques or interesting stuff. And I think this was a skull drawing workshop from that was being led by an artist who professionally did like scientific illustrations. So it was a lot of observation. Some of these are drawings of the scenery in Alaska, which I found very beautiful. And we had a Tlingit language workshop at one point and talked about some cultural stuff. So I just wrote down the names of a few things, getting into some more doodles and some more Wychwood layouts. More Wychwood layouts. This is planning for a scene in chapter 4 where Tiara and Kyra have their big brawl. So it's just kind of trying to draw out some of the vibes and moments that I wanted to do. And just this drawing of Tiara looking like the cat with all the knives pointed at her. Little doodle of myself. These pages are from TCAF in 2019 because I went to a bunch of panels with the Word Balloon Academy, and I would take notes and draw. When I started these, I was just kind of letting my hand go free, but I also was trying to uh, create some magic circles that I could use within Wychwood. Like if I could just grab some of these and isolate the lines, then I could use them as part of my special effects system. And I actually did end up using a bunch of them, especially I think these ones, these three in particular. I ended up using in Tiara's cell at the end of chapter 7, stuff like that. Um, and some more pages, some Felix's, another Rising Sand sticker. It looks like I got a hold of two of them. This is all notes from a panel about clip studio techniques, also at TCAF. Some drawings of Tiara and Kyra hanging out. A whole bunch of doodles. I was trying to figure out what would happen during the fight, so I did these little throw graphics and just kind of messing with choreography and figuring out what kind of note I wanted the fight to end on, kind of hinting at something else going on for Kyra specifically, and also some of Felix's scenes in that chapter where he's starting to learn some unsettling stuff. More Wychwood layouts. I think I spliced this page in late. I'm not sure why it's all on its own on this page. Another Felix, and then a whole bunch of layouts. So the next few pages are from a life drawing session that my workplace at the time was putting together. So they hired a company called Tunes on Tap, and Tunes on Tap basically has life models who dress up in costume as cartoon characters, and they'll do these cool poses. And at the session that I went to, unfortunately, it was like I think it was the only one they organized, and obviously the pandemic happening kind of put the kibosh on having more of them. But this session was amazing. Like the model did these incredible poses, and I was using a pen to kind of do the drawings for it, filling in some blacks and stuff. And yeah, the model would also make these little quips. So he was like sitting on the stool, and he was like, "Look up the Hawkeye Initiative," and start singing to himself and stuff like that. I believe the model is on Instagram as Metaflex1, where he dances and stuff like that. And he's just so like charismatic in the costume. I had a blast doing these drawings. All these uh, all these fun little Deadpools. He doesn't think green is his color. And then the last one, I cut it out. I can't remember why, but it means I can turn it sideways like this to make it easier to see. It does mean I always have to worry about it falling out of the sketchbook, but well. It looks like I wrote some story notes over here, um, and more comic planning, just laying out more pages. Some of these single panels are just kind of like concept art, figuring out what I want things to look like. Some notes for myself about where I wanted the story to go. Some character doodles, a little Tiara, Julian, Kyra, and I knew at some point that I wanted her sleeves to come off, so I started drawing some of that as I got closer to the capture part of the arc. Looks like I got a hold of a Hero Academia sticker. This is actually a drawing of Kite from when I was not super settled on his design. So he's a little scrungly here. I feel like I got to bring some of that back. He's gotten very cleaned up in recent pages. This was a ink drawing that I did as part when I was trying to put together a pitch for a short werewolf story. Um, it didn't end up getting picked up, so this is kind of it's just kind of this and a little script is as far as it got, but it was I have a lot of fun doing intense cross hatching like that. And then down here I drew a very detailed little drawing with some like flowers and stuff in this character's hair. There's not really a story behind it. I think I was just having fun, letting my hand get away with me. And back to story layouts, a random face. These are some ink drawings. I was trying to figure out some fun, like marketing style pictures, just one of those big collage of characters kind of things that anime love to do. I love looking at them, so I always wanted to make some for Wychwood, and this was a first attempt. I inked this, and then I forgot about it for like a year, and then I went back and colored it in Photoshop without cleaning up the inks at all. So it's a bit of a funny look now, but it was fun to do. Here is a tiara that I think I put together for an art exchange, one of those things where each person does a sketch and then someone else will ink the first person's sketch and then someone else will color those lines. And I drew a tiara for that. And then I added all these little stickers. These are actually my own stickers, my one piece of Yu-Gi-Oh art. Um, some more Wychwood planning. I struggled a lot with planning out the fight scene between Tiara and Kyra, just like everything about getting them into that situation. So these pages are actually kind of me scripting right on the page. Normally, what I do is I write my script in a Google document and then I draw out the thumbnails on a separate, completely separate piece of paper, which is very small. It'll be tiny because I'm just kind of figuring out, like, okay, here's how many panels are going to go on the page and which characters are going to appear in each panel and what panel the word balloons appear in. But I was having trouble even writing the script, so I just kind of started figuring out images and dialogue. And that's kind of what this section is. These are some unsettling Zephyr that I wanted to draw. I still love this spooky eyeball chest thing. Maybe someday I will ink these. These are characters from a different story, which I am looking into getting back into as a collaborative effort with a friend. Be more on that later. This is more Wychwood stuff. Uh, Kind of going back to chapter 8, those chapter 8 vibes. Um, More Wychwood. Here's a little Felix and some spooky skull bug monsters. And I like this beginning of a pose, but it didn't get very far. And Julian picking up a box. Little Felix. Some very, very loose environment concept stuff and more page layouts. Sometimes I'll do these little patterns in the borders of my pages when I just am thinking and not thinking about what I'm drawing. So this is a unsettling 4-page comic that I did. Warning, it's got lots of bugs in it. Creepy crawlies. If you don't like those, you might want to look away from the video for a little bit. But it was just a horrible thought that I had one day in the bathtub where I started thinking about those silverfish bugs that come out of drains. And I was having a nice bath and had a thought, and then I had to make the comic about the thought. So looking at this little drain under the water, and then oh no, bugs! Ugh, ugh, horrible. Anyway, um, so uh, in one of the previous sketchbooks, I talked a little bit about the short story that I had, which was going to be set in the Svalbard seed vault, and this was kind of another attempt at that one, except instead of doing it as a comic, I was trying to figure out if I could do it as like a storyboard for a short animation. So I was kind of plotting out these little, all right, so here's the opening shot and like having a bird fly down and then pan down through the pipes and then enter the actual seed vault and kind of walking through steps of it as if it were like just kind of a short animated animation about this little figure sneaking in. And then I stopped right around here. Um, this is I believe this is from when a friend was visiting and we started prompting each other to draw things. So this is a little baby Felix and Kyra with a big flower bushes. And this is Riku from Kingdom Hearts. This is a sticker from one of the artists that I met during the Alaska retreat. Um, Here are some of my friends' characters, which I will always enjoy drawing. Tiara in watercolor, And these little cat Mira stickers at the very bottom that the camera is not picking up, but they're adorable. They've got these little, just these tiny little cat faces. They're so small. Um, this one is a drawing of characters from Geralt in a pose from a piece of Yu-Gi-Oh promo art where Yugi, obviously this is where Tico is doing this crazy pose with his leg all the way up, like this very exaggerated walk, like something out of Monty Python. So I just kind of drew it, but put in my own characters as like a fun little challenge. Some more layouts, some tiaras, some notes on the story, plotting out the cafeteria environment, and just kind of starting to draw the characters. This is from figuring out the cover for, I guess, both Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Neither of these are what I ended up using, but that's fine. Um, this is from another story that I kind of codenamed Shortcuts, and there's more for this later in the sketchbook. This is just a tiara in a chair. These ones are so the characters in Wychwood are characters that I've had since very early childhood, and this is me drawing their current designs in the outfits that I originally designed them in when I was like 8. They had weird fashion senses at the time, so it was a bit of a trip to kind of put them back in those outfits with completely different or non-existent color palettes and everything. Um, this is more planning for that shortcut story that I was mentioning earlier. Just kind of figuring out some stuff for the characters. This is a Julian slipped in there. Back to Wychwood. Little Tara and Kyra fighting. At one point, Felix was going to join Tiara and Julian in their like late night wandering around the facility, but I ended up cutting that fairly early on because I realized that getting that to happen was going to require a lot of like a lot more subplots and probably a good extra like 50 to 100 pages. And I really wanted to get to the spooky bug stuff, so I nixed it, but it would have been fun. So here's a little more shortcut stuff with a couple of the characters. This is just kind of, these two are kind of random. These are plans for pages from that Shortcuts comic, which I wanted to draw out as like a pitch for a graphic novel. So I did these in my usual way of kind of laying them out right here in the sketchbook. And little tiara goofing on Felix and some script. Here's Felix, some more spooky bug skull monsters, and a few more stickers as well. I really wanted to start playing with scale, so I started kind of trying to figure out these monsters hanging out. Um, I rewatched Batman Beyond, and I drew some Batmans, and then I drew a Felix. No particular connection there, I guess. I'm always like 3 seconds away from drawing Felix whenever I have a pencil in my hand, so there's that. Um, these are Inktobers, because I did the challenge again in October 2019. So I've got Ring, Mindless, Bait, and Freeze, and Interrupted for some tiaras, and then Build, Husky, Enchanted, and Frail. And oh man, I really enjoy doing these little ink drawings. Cross hatching is just a ton of fun. More story layouts, and a few little doodles. Swing pattern, snow and dragon. Uh, just kind of wanting to explore a little more imagery from the world. I like using Inktober as an excuse to get a whole bunch of concepts done at once. This is Ash, Overgrown, Legend, and Wild. And Ornament, Misfit, Sling, and Tread. And treasure, ghost, ancient, busy, tasty, dark, coat, ride. I want to put this in the comics somehow. I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way to do it. Injured, catch, and ripe was the final piece. Mostly because I couldn't think of anything else for that one. Here's little Felix and some more Zypher designs. Obligatory Jack and Daxter and Felix and Tiara hanging out. Another Felix. Spoiler sticker from Alta, which is a ski resort in the States. Very spooky face. And it looks like this splat here is from maybe a pen exploded or something like that, because that's usually kind of what happens when that occurs. And then a Tiara and Kyra hanging out. Back to the uh, layout sketches. Layout sketches and some incredible cat stickers. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. It looks like that's basically the end of this big, beautiful sketchbook.